how can you get over a breakup? This is what I will discuss today in this video. For some people it takes weeks, for some people it takes months, for some people it takes years to get over a breakup. You'll see that if you do the right things, you don't necessarily have to wait months and years. And if you're watching this video and you are still heartbroken, even 6 months, a year, 2 years after a breakup, it's probably because you're failing to do something. You're failing to look at things in a different way, and that's what we will discuss in this video. I'm going to share basically what I do with my clients who have a very difficult time moving on and healing from a breakup. I'll explain everything after the jingle.
igetmyexback.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
So first of all, yes, breakups are tough. And don't think that you're weak, that you're a bad person, that you're too emotional, feeling that you're not normal, basically. It's normal to feel hurt after a breakup. And the reason you're still hurt is nothing to do with, again, your resilience. A breakup, first of all, is obviously highly emotional. We are losing something that matters to us. Sometimes the most important thing in our life, the most important person in our life. And so there is this grieving process, our ability to say goodbye to those things, to say goodbye to the potential moments together, the projects that we have together. And what is very hard after a breakup, and I've been in your shoes and I've helped hundreds of people in your situation, is to readjust to that new normal. If your ex decided to end the relationship, of course, he had or she had time to think about the future, to adapt, to anticipate what would come after the breakup. For you, it came as a surprise, it came as a shock. Okay? If you want to get back with your ex, what I'm going to describe applies to you, because every time I help someone to get back with the ex, we go through that phase of grieving. This relationship, your ex rejected this relationship. Your job, if you want to get back together, is to build a new one, to start fresh. So regardless of what happens, whether you want to move on and forget your ex or whether you want to get back with your ex, what I will describe in this video applies. What you have to understand is that what comes ahead, this challenge, what you're going through, you can learn from. The other day I was trying to explain that to a client on Telegram. You need to enjoy this moment. It's an opportunity. And she was telling me, how can I enjoy this time? It's awful. It's so painful. How can you tell me you need to enjoy the process? And I know from my point of view, it's easier because I don't have her story. I don't have the feelings she had for her ex. But my point is, yes, you can learn from any situation. And in life, usually you learn the most from situations that are painful, that are difficult. Let me explain. First of all, one tip is to feel your emotions. When we are upset, we want to avoid. Okay, that's normal. It's painful. I don't want to be in pain. I don't want to cry. If you avoid, you can't learn. Right? And if you can't learn, you can't change. What it means to be in a new relationship, at peace with yourself, at peace with the relationship, at peace with the breakup, that implies changing. Changing who you are, changing your perspective of things, building resilience, self-worth. And if you fail to learn, you will get stuck. And that's the reason, potentially, why you're stuck. Because you're avoiding. Or you're having a hard time dealing with those emotions. You let them take the lead. Usually people are on those two extremes. As an avoidant, I used to avoid emotions. And I thought that was a great coping mechanism that would protect me from things, that would protect me from being hurt. But the problem is when you're numb, when you don't feel anything, how can you make the right decisions? Equally, if you're anxious and you feel that your emotions are it's overwhelming, they prevent you from doing your job. You have now eating disorder, you can't sleep, it's taking the lead. And so your only focus is to remove those things. It's just like, I don't want to be sad, I don't want to cry. It's a form of avoidance, okay? So it's really about addressing those things. That's what we do in therapy. And I'm not the only one. With any therapist, if you're seeing a therapist, if you're seeing a psychologist, about how you can understand your emotions, how you can feel, accept. Let me give you an example or an image. A breakup is like a tornado, right? You don't want to face, you want to avoid that. It's scary, it's dangerous, right? But the problem is thinking that by waiting, things will be better. That's a common mistake. And that's why I see almost every single day people calling me. It's been 6 months, it's been a year, it's been 2 years. I'm still heartbroken. If you want to feel better, faster, you have to go through the eye of the storm. That's the only way. And I understand it's scary, it's counterintuitive, you don't want to do it, but you have to do it. That's the only way. And every single time, and it's very consistent, people who go through that process, who really face their emotion, heal quicker. There's no debate about that. There's been actually studies about that. And tip number 2 is leaning on support system. Thinking, and for example, I would have been the same. Sometimes when I have a problem, I like to deal with that problem on my own. When it comes to breakup, when it comes to emotional distress, thinking that you can deal with this on your own is a massive mistake. So find friends, family, therapist. Maybe you reach out to people who cares about you. Maybe people you haven't spoken with in a long time. There's a lot of value in talking with friends. When you talk with someone, and that's why talking therapy is very efficient. When you talk to someone, it helps you to get out all those things. And also, when you have a constructive conversation with someone, they help you reflect. When we keep our thoughts together, when we keep things inside us, even though we think, yeah, I'm reflecting, that's totally different than having a discussion. Okay, it brings that level of awareness that you can't have when you are dealing with this on your own. Also, we fail connection after a breakup. We need connection. We are social animals. So thinking you will deal with this breakup on your own is a huge mistake. Find someone, find a support system. Because, as I said, emotional support cannot be found alone. Tip number 3 is to take care of yourself. It sounds common sense, but I have to say it again and again and again. Take care of you, physically, mentally, emotionally. This needs to be your priority. Self-care needs to be your priority. It's not about what should I send to my ex. It's not about an accountability letter. That won't help you to feel better. Priority is you. Priority is taking care of you. That's it. Don't think about cutting plans, talking to her or his best friend, looking at their story. No, that won't help you to feel better. Also, thinking that getting back together will help you make you feel better, you're missing the whole point. The stage or the process is you feel better first. And therefore you have this situation, this vision of the situation where you can grow from the breakup, learn from the breakup, and then maybe you get back together. But jumping from I feel bad and if I want to feel better, I need to get back with my ex, you're missing the whole point. And it could work, but trust me, 6 months down the line, you'll break up again. And very often I have people calling me and they have a history of breakups. It's because you haven't really dealt with this. And you start the relationship again where it failed. And so what will happen is that you will fail. And so, yes, of course, you have feelings, you're still in love, but you haven't really dealt with it. So that's what you have to do first. So that's why self-care, focusing on sleep, exercise, nutrition, it's so important, self-care. And yet I see that people struggle with that because they don't make it a priority. That we do every single Saturday with Elizabeth. We have workshops dedicated about self-care. where we have a 1 hour workshop. It's only for you. It's usually in very short groups where you can exchange, when you can discuss. It's really about how you can feel better. And it's a bit of a mechanic. You don't have to overthink. It's really about like very process driven, where you do things, you do exercises, and that makes you feel better. Okay, and it will have a knock-on effect on the other aspect of your life. And so, for example, if you find yourself struggling, to be efficient at work, with your family, with your friends, you're kind of zoned out, or you feel lack of motivation, do that first. Okay, that's a priority. And then you can think about getting back with your ex, understanding your attachment style. It shouldn't be either or. You have to do those things together. So next time you do something, ask yourself, is it helping me to feel better? And if it's not, if you're not sure about the answer, don't do it. Okay? Or if you feel like, but I don't have the motivation. Yes, you don't have the motivation to go to the gym, but will it make you feel better? Yes or no? Yes, do it. Okay? So, should I text my ex? Will it make you feel better? No, don't do it. Okay? It's as simple as that. Maybe have a decision tree, stick on your fridge, you stick it on your fridge, and you look at that. Tip number 4 is to really how you can reframe your thinking. Of course, I talk about that a lot, the stories we tell ourselves, the importance of the stories we tell ourselves. Facing your emotions, like we discussed, it's okay. Blaming yourself, that's not okay. So it's finding ways, finding a balance to look at the situation, removing that self-blame. So it's really also about learning how to detach. Or another way to see it is how to be more secure. Another way to say it is like how you can knock your ex from a pedestal. Because sometimes we are in that situation, they rejected me, I'm not good enough, I'm bad, they were right, and you are creating that self-fulfilling prophecy that it's not going to work. Okay? The thing is, the self-blame is the result of something that happened in the past, something older, maybe earlier, that now has resurfaced because they told you, I don't know, maybe it's something about, could be something really stupid about like the way you talk, or that reminds you of sometimes not a trauma, something that happened in your childhood where you felt rejected because of that. I had a client where she was bullied when she was younger, and she always felt that her boyfriends were with her because they were forced, or they were sort of pretending that they liked her, and she had this idea, this belief system in her head. So she contacted me because after a breakup, it was very hard for her to change that belief. So it's really about using this opportunity to reframe that thinking process. Very often, the reason the breakup is difficult is not because of of course, the importance of the relationship will play a part, but it's also and mostly about what it means to you. Okay, what this failure, where is it coming from? Usually it's some insecurities. Maybe it's your anxious attachment style. Maybe it's other things in your life. That is now you have to face it. It's very hard. Now, tip number 5 is how you can structure the next weeks. I'm making those videos to really empower you, teach you things so you can learn, grow, take action. And I know it's very overwhelming because there's a lot of content out there. My suggestion, and if there's one tip to remember, perhaps this one is the most important one, is how you can structure, how you can have a vision, how you can have a plan for you to move from point A to point B. It's not a linear path. Our brains, when you have a therapy, when you work on yourself, it's never a linear path. But it's not going to do like this. Always going to be upward with a little bit of dips. Okay? The idea is find ways to be 1% better every single day. And if you do that, trust me, after 1, 2, or 3 months, you'll feel dramatically better. The idea is also making progress in the right direction. So making progress is not, oh yeah, I'm texting my ex. I used to text him every single month. Now I'm texting him every 2 weeks. It's getting better, and you're failing to really address your insecurities, really address what was wrong with the relationship, really struggling to understand whether actually your ex is keeping you on the hook and not investing anymore in the relationship. The idea is to improve one person every day and go in the right direction. I put together, for instance, a workbook, a structure that you can use if you really want to heal from this breakup. There will be a link somewhere at the end of the video, so have a look, get the workbook. You can also comment on this video if you have any question. Don't hesitate also to like, that does help me, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
For a long time, get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer.